Are you into this Jeffrey Epstein thing as much as it seems everybody else is?
I think what I'm supposed to say is yes, but I don't know, man. Look, I'm very, very interested in what actually happened with Jeffrey Epstein and many of these names that have been released and many more.
So
However,
I'm there with you.
Do you have a however as well on this?
Well, I just hear beyond that, that's how I feel. I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know. But everything that I'm hearing now, I just also hear this in my head. What? Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, Bill Clinton. Donald Trump. Stephen Hawking. David Copperfield. What difference does, what is this?
Yeah.
This is a circus. This is a cake that they are feeding us at the circus.
Because I didn't get much that was new out of this. Did you?
No.
Was there anything that you saw in these names that you were surprised about? I mean, David Copperfield was not a surprise, I got to say. But like, none of this was a surprise. Like we knew, we still don't know to the extent that Bill Clinton was involved in this. I want to know, but like,
you're not going to.
It doesn't seem like it.
No.
Like this is a bunch of people who were brought up by, in various, everything. Cameron Diaz was brought. I don't think Cameron Diaz was involved. I don't know, but like all these names came up, and it strikes me as like there's other information that is held not in these lawsuits, but by the government.
Wait.
That I would actually like to know.
Yeah, well, we're never going to see that.
Jeffrey Epstein lands on a tarmac. What was it, Teterboro? I think so. He lands in an airport, private airport near New York City. He is brought into custody, and at that moment, they go and they raid his condo. The government takes all sorts of evidence, tape, documents, God knows what. And then Jeffrey Epstein kills himself, or you may have another theory on that. And we never get any of this stuff.
You know what? I've been fashioning a noose out of paper napkins and lace doilies.
Really?
Yeah. When I need to go, and those lace doilies and those paper thin, single ply toilet paper nooses. I'll be so dead so fast.
Yeah, no, I know. That's certainly.
Anyway.
But we don't have
any of that
information and seemingly no path to get it at any point. I mean, like every little bit of evidence in this particular case is positive.
But did you hear about Stephen Hawking?
Yeah,
he was involved.
But like, is that important? What am I supposed to do with that information? What was at his condo? What was there?
What are you talking about?
Why don't we learn? Why don't we have that information by now?
Didn't you hear the guy who owns the Hyatt? The chain.
Okay.
Brisker. He was possibly doing so. We don't have any evidence of it, but he was named.
And all these people have plausible deniability. Here, right? Because look, in reality, this is real world. Jeffrey Epstein hung out with basically every power player that you know.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean they all were hooking up with 12-year-olds. It doesn't. And many of them probably were.
It could, America. It could.
It could.
It could.
I don't think it does.
You should think that, but we should argue about it. We should say, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton. It's a cake and circus fest.
Yeah. And I gotta say, too, there's a huge line here. Like the Donald Trump part of this is particularly egregious, right?
Yeah.
He was hanging out with that Jeffrey Epstein. It's true. I mean, like they were at parties, like they were talking. Donald Trump is on the record talking about how much Jeffrey Epstein seems to like younger women, right? They were at parties together. They weren't close friends, but they ran in powerful circles. They were very rich people in powerful circles. All of this long before any of the accusations against Epstein were public. You're hanging out with a person, let's say 12 years before he's accused of a crime. There's no reason for you to be mentioned in the same sentence.
No, and before he was charged with a crime, Donald Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago.
He didn't like him.
No, and said it was because he made some sexual advance on an underage girl, banned him from the club, divorced him as a friend
Long before
any of this came out.
So it's really egregious to try to tie him into this particular thing. Now, Clinton is a much more... he was on the plane a bunch of times. Like, there's all sorts...
Maxwell is on the record saying Bill Clinton likes him young.
Bill Gates met with Epstein after all of this stuff went down. Like after he was already accused and had all that stuff went down where people knew what Epstein was involved in, and he still was meeting with him. Like that's
and his
weird.
Divorce with his wife is rumored to be about that. Before this became a big story, it was rumored that she had it with his relationship with Epstein, and she's like, "You can't." That was one of the things that was brought up in the divorce, apparently.
Again, all this stuff it's just allegations. Is there more evidence to support anything nefarious here? I mean, you've seen the interview with Bill Gates on this probably, but it's like he's really uncomfortable and it's weird. But Gates is kind of a weird guy. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Who knows? But like to try to we're just going down this road of let's just talk about Donald Trump because you're mentioning Bill Clinton, so we'll bring up Donald Trump. It's just stupid. It is the circus that you're talking about.
So here's the thing that you should pay attention to. When anybody is talking about this today, you should say, the FBI director has the black book, has all of the evidence, most likely has all of the tapes because they took everything out of Jeffrey Epstein's house. And it is now under the purview of the FBI, the director of the FBI. Do you think that's too much power for one man to have? To have all of that information? Do you think it was most likely done as an intel operation? Most likely, Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence officer. Don't know for what country? Probably ours. That's why no hands-on. Nobody's going to say anything about him. He could get away almost with murder. So he was blackmailing people or using that for other countries or our country to blackmail people. Should one man in our government have access to that? And because it is revolving around the rich, the powerful, the politically connected, shouldn't we all have access to that? Because if it was just a truck driver union, we'd know all the names. We'd know every single name. We'd know exactly what they'd done, and they'd be in jail if they had done something. So why is it the FBI is sitting on this? To protect their own. Okay, even if you say that's okay, which I don't, hang on just a second. Is that one person going to be able to use any of this? Because that one person could say, you know what, we're going to release this on you. This is so incredibly dangerous. It is exactly the kind of stuff that Stalin would have loved. It's exactly the reason why everybody hates J. Edgar Hoover and thought J. Edgar Hoover was a nightmare. This one cache of information, it has probably more damaging things than Hoover had collected over 50 years. I don't know. I think we should stop talking about who's on this list where it gives us really nothing and start talking about why is the FBI not releasing everything? Remember, this is the same FBI that had the laptop of Hunter Biden for 2 years before you had even heard of it. They held that. They, quote, investigated that. Yeah. And what happened there? Were any favors done for anybody? What happened there exactly?
I mean, if you think about it, like we had that hypothetical conversation. What would have happened to the Hunter Biden laptop if there wasn't a copy left at this computer store, right? Like, let's just say it got into the FBI's hands, and the guy at the Apple store didn't keep a copy, right? He just gave it to the FBI. What would have happened? We never would have known that information, right? And we know, like, this Epstein thing is the story. That's what would have happened to it. There would have been a rumor about what was in there, and we never would have known what was how it
Can
paid
we
off.
go back to the ABC anchor that was doing, I think, Saturday morning, Good Morning America or something, and they brought up Epstein in a break. Their mics were open. Somebody taped it. Listen.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep.
I'd love to see.
Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
And
that's an unbelievable.
And we still don't have that report. We still don't have. Why is ABC still suppressing all of this? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will say, on the Alan Dershowitz front, I mean, she came out and said, maybe it wasn't Alan Dershowitz years later because he sued. And it's important to know that all of her accusations did not seem to prove out. Certainly the Dershowitz one fell apart completely by her own words.
I absolutely believe it about Bill Clinton, but that's just because I think I know who Bill Clinton is, and it sounds like Bill Clinton. However, I wouldn't say Bill Clinton needs to be rounded up as a pedophile. I wouldn't say that.
No,
he needs his day in court.
Yeah, it's unfair in a way that, I'm sure, I kind of agree with your take on what actually happened, but we should have the evidence so that we can figure out whether these things occurred or not.
And no one deserves silence. No one, because of their position, deserves to have all of this boarded up. Why? Okay, he's a former president, but Cincinnatus, you're a farmer, you go to serve, you come back, you're a farmer. Why does he get special access? I can understand while you're in office, maybe you don't do things because it's just a distraction of the presidency. It's a weapon. But afterwards, why does he get special protection?